Lust is not what you think it is. It does not come to you as an enemy with a sword, but as a whisper in the dark, offering pleasure while silently plotting your destruction. Kingdoms have fallen, prophets have stumbled, and countless men have traded their crowns for moments that vanished like smoke. What if I told you that every time you say no, the unseen world trembles, that your refusal to bow to lust is the very act that rewrites your destiny? Stay here, because the battle you fight in secret decides the future you will hold in public. Word, the silent war for your soul. There is a war happening right now. Not in the streets, not on battlefields drenched with blood, but within the hidden chambers of your mind and the sacred ground of your soul. This war is silent, yet more violent than any army mankind has ever raised. Its weapons are not swords or bullets, but whispers, images, desires carefully planted to enslave you while convincing you that you are free. Lust is not presented to you as an enemy. No demon walks into your room with horns and chains. Instead, it comes dressed as pleasure, as curiosity, as comfort. It promises to satisfy, yet it only empties you deeper. And the moment you give in, something invisible is stolen. Your energy, your clarity, your very authority over your own spirit. History shows us how devastating this war is. Samson, a man anointed with strength to tear apart lions, fell not by the blade of an enemy soldier but by the seduction of lust. King David, a man after God's own heart, was not defeated in the battlefield, but on a rooftop when he surrendered to desire. Great men, chosen men with destinies written in heaven were pulled down not by armies, but by moments of weakness. The attacks are relentless because the enemy knows this truth. If he can chain your soul with lust, he doesn't need to chain your body. If he can control your desires, he doesn't need to fear your destiny. The Apostle Paul spoke of this battle when he said, "The flesh desires what is contrary to the spirit." It is a civil war inside your very being. One side pulling you toward divine destiny, the other dragging you into destruction. And this war does not rest. Demons do not sleep. They study you, they wait for your weakest moments, and they strike when you believe no one is watching. But here is the secret. Every no you say in this war is louder than 1,000 sermons. Every refusal to bow to lust is a declaration to heaven and hell that your soul is not for sale. It may feel like a small decision, but in the unseen realm, angels record it, and demons tremble at it. This silent war for your soul is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal you. The strength you build in the shadows becomes the authority you carry in the light. Your private victories will become your public destiny. And when you learn to master this war, you step into a power that lust can never counterfeit. The power of purity, the fire of discipline, the unshakable clarity of a soul that belongs fully to God. The prison of pleasure and the trap of deception. The most dangerous prisons are not built of bricks and iron, but of invisible chains that men willingly lock around themselves. Lust is that prison. It seduces with promises of comfort, relief and thrill, yet delivers only emptiness, regret and shame. What makes it so deceptive is not its ugliness, but its beauty. No man falls for lust because it looks like chains. He falls because it looks like freedom. Think of Samson, the strongest man who ever lived. His muscles could bring down armies, yet a single weakness for Delilah brought him to ruin. David, the king after God's own heart, conquered nations but stumbled in a single moment of desire, and that stumble set in motion consequences that rippled for generations. These are not ancient fairy tales. They are warnings written in blood. History has shown us again and again. Lust never advertises its true cost. It hands you a golden cup, filled with poison, and you drink thinking it is honey. Science today confirms what Scripture has long declared. Lust rewires the brain like a drug. Each indulgence releases dopamine, a fleeting rush that leaves you hungrier than before. And like a man drinking salt water, you consume more but grow thirstier. The trap is not in the pleasure itself, but in the cycle of longing it creates. You become addicted, not satisfied, enslaved, not free. And soon your private prison grows tighter, stealing your time, your focus, your confidence, and ultimately, your destiny. The whisper of deception is always the same. Just once more won't hurt, but each once more weaves another thread into the web around you. The devil doesn't steal your crown in one blow. He steals it in 1,000 small compromises, until you wake up one day and realize the strength you once had has leaked away. Picture it like this. A man chained in a beautiful room, with golden walls and velvet cushions. He thinks he is in paradise, but every moment he spends there his muscles weaken, his vision dulls, and his will collapses. By the time he tries to leave, he cannot stand. That is the prison of pleasure. It looks like luxury, but it leaves you powerless. The trap of deception is subtle. Lust convinces you it is natural, harmless, even necessary. It tells you everyone is doing it, that no one will know, that God will forgive you anyway. But here lies the greatest lie of all. While forgiveness is always possible, lost time is never recovered. Every moment given to lust is a moment stolen from the man you could have been. To break free, you must first see clearly. Lust is not a harmless indulgence, but a calculated strategy to weaken you. It is the silent thief of greatness, the assassin of destiny. And until you expose it for what it is, a trap dressed as treasure, you will remain bound. Your freedom begins with truth. And the truth is this: the greatest act of rebellion in a world enslaved to lust is to look it in the eye and say no more. Lust, the enemy of destiny. Destiny is never stolen in a single moment. It is eroded, chipped away by small hidden compromises. And the most subtle thief of destiny has always been lust. Lust does not simply rob you of purity. It robs you of clarity, of strength, of authority, of the very calling that heaven placed on your life. Think of the great men in history and scripture. Samson, the strongest man to walk the earth, did not fall because of an army, but because of a woman he could not resist. David, the king after God's own heart, nearly destroyed his legacy with one secret night of weakness. These were men chosen, men destined, yet their greatest battle was not on the battlefield. It was in the silence of desire. That is the danger of lust. It disguises itself as harmless, as natural, as something small and private. But in reality it is the most aggressive enemy of destiny, because it never stops at one defeat. Every time you surrender, it digs its claws deeper, weakening your will, making you easier to topple when the stakes are higher. Lust whispers, just this once, but that once often becomes the crack through which empires collapse. Destiny requires focus, yet lust scatters the mind. Destiny requires courage, yet lust fills you with shame. Destiny requires discipline, yet lust enslaves you to impulses. How can you lead a people, a business, a family, if you cannot lead yourself in the silence of temptation? And here is the terrifying truth. Lust never wants your moment. It wants your mission. Demons know they don't need to drag you into chains if they can simply keep you distracted, weakened and ashamed. Because a man chained by lust will never fully rise into the authority of his calling. He will preach without fire, lead without confidence, and pray without power. Every yes to lust is a no to destiny. Every time you bow to that whisper, you trade eternal inheritance for temporary satisfaction. You may not see the loss immediately, but slowly, subtly, you will notice it. Lost confidence, lost clarity, lost opportunities that slipped by because you were not prepared, not sharp, not present. But the opposite is also true. Every no you speak to lust is a yes to a higher future. Every victory in private makes you unshakable in public. You begin to walk with authority that cannot be faked, with confidence that demons recognize and men respect. Lust is not just a temptation. It is a spiritual strategy designed to rob you of your crown. And if you do not see it as an enemy, you will underestimate its power. But if you stand against it, if you declare it your enemy, and fight it as fiercely as you would fight for your life, then you will step into a destiny so powerful that even hell itself will regret ever targeting you. The burden and mark of the chosen ones. The greater the calling on your life, the heavier the weight of temptation you will face. This is no accident. Those who carry divine assignments are marked targets in the unseen realm. The enemy does not waste energy on those with no future, no mission, no light within them. But if you are chosen, if heaven has written your name into a destiny that shifts nations, then every demon, every spirit of lust, every whisper of distraction will be unleashed against you. Look back through history. This has always been the pattern. Joseph was tempted in secret by Potiphar's wife, long before he wore the robe of rulership. David, a man after God's own heart, stumbled into adultery, and from that one moment came chaos in his kingdom. Samson, born with supernatural strength, became a slave in chains because he could not master his own desires. Do you see the thread? The chosen are always tested in the private furnace of purity before they are crowned in public glory. Lust does not chase the ordinary with such intensity. It is relentless against the extraordinary. Why? Because the chosen carry futures inside them. When you fall, it is not only your life that is affected. Your bloodline, your children, your community, your legacy, all tremble under the weight of your decision. The chosen carry burdens generations will either rejoice over or mourn. This is why your temptation feels heavier than the average man's. It is because your calling is greater than the average man. This is the paradox of being chosen. What feels like unfair struggle is actually a divine compliment. Heaven has entrusted you with the kind of destiny that terrifies hell. Demons are not disturbed by your weaknesses. They are disturbed by your potential. They do not rage against what you are today, but against who you will become if you remain pure, disciplined, unbroken by secret battles. And here lies the truth. To be chosen means to live with a weight few understand. People will see your gifts, your charisma, your talent, but they will never fully see the nights you spend wrestling with thoughts, the mornings you rise from failure, the silent no you whisper when no one is watching. The mark of the chosen is not in the applause of the crowd, but in the scars of private wars fought against lust, fear and doubt. To carry this burden is not to be cursed, it is to be refined. For the chosen, every temptation resisted becomes a stone in the foundation of unshakable destiny. Every no to lust is a yes to leadership, a yes to clarity, a yes to walking in authority that cannot be counterfeited. Remember this, the chosen do not conquer because life is easier for them. They conquer because they understand their life is not their own. Their choices echo beyond their lifetime. Their victories are not private, they are eternal. That is the burden, that is the mark, that is the price of destiny. If you're ready to break free from the grip of lust and walk in unstoppable purity, grab my ebook 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust. The link is waiting in the description and the pinned comment. Don't wait. The law of spiritual resistance. There is a law in the spiritual realm as real as gravity. Whatever you resist in secret shapes the authority you walk in publicly. Every time you resist lust, you are not just saying no to a moment. You are training your spirit, rewiring your mind, and establishing dominion over yourself. This is where many stumble. They believe resistance is weakness, that fighting temptation means they are still enslaved. But the truth is the opposite. Resistance is the gymnasium of the soul. Just as weights tear the muscle to make it stronger, temptation presses against your spirit to reveal what you are truly made of. Without resistance there is no strength. Without strength there is no authority. And without authority, destiny cannot be fulfilled. Neville Goddard once taught that imagination is the workshop of reality. Lust seeks to hijack that imagination, filling it with counterfeit images, false promises, shadows of pleasure that never satisfy. But when you resist, you reclaim the throne of your own mind. You remind both heaven and hell that your imagination belongs to God's vision for your life, not to the devil's deception. Every no becomes a declaration. My future will not be enslaved to a fantasy. Billy Graham, a man who carried the gospel to millions, always warned that purity is not optional for those called to greatness. It is the very foundation of their power. He knew that when lust enters the life of a leader, credibility dies, trust shatters, and the voice loses its way. But a man who resists, who stands firm when no one is watching, walks with an unseen authority that cannot be faked. His words carry fire, his presence carries weight, because his spirit is anchored in truth. This is why demons attack you so relentlessly. They know resistance builds authority, and authority is what they fear most. They can handle a weak believer who sings loudly in public but surrenders quietly in secret. What they cannot withstand is the believer who resists in silence, who trains his spirit in unseen battles, until every whisper of lust loses its grip. That man becomes untouchable. Understand this. Resistance is not a one-time event, but a lifelong law. Just as gravity never stops pulling, lust never stops calling. But the law of resistance means that with every refusal, the pull weakens and your spirit strengthens. You move from being a victim of temptation to a master over it. And mastery over lust is mastery over destiny. So when the whisper comes, when the thought flashes, when the temptation stands before you dressed as desire, do not despair. Do not think you are failing because you are tempted. Know this instead. You are in training. You are building strength. You are engraving authority into your soul. And one day you will stand as proof that purity is not only possible, it is powerful. That is the law of spiritual resistance. From chains to authority. Every great story begins with chains. Look at the pages of scripture, and you will find a pattern. Men destined for crowns first endured prisons. Joseph wore shackles before he wore robes. Daniel was surrounded by lions before he was exalted in Babylon. Even Christ himself carried the weight of a cross before he was lifted above every name. The road from chains to authority has always been the divine blueprint. Lust is one of those chains. It binds quietly, wrapping itself around your confidence, your focus, your future. At first it feels harmless, even sweet, but over time, you realize the weight is crushing your spirit. The more you bow, the more powerless you feel. Yet here lies the paradox. Those chains, those very battles that shame you in secret, can become the very training ground for your authority. Think of Samson. When he was enslaved, eyes gouged out, mocked by his enemies, it looked like the end. But in his final act of resistance, when he called upon God with everything left in him, his authority was restored, and his destiny was fulfilled. His story reminds us that authority is not given to the perfect. It is given to those who rise from their failures with new strength. Every time you resist lust, even after stumbling, you forge a new link in the chain of authority. The weak man says, "I cannot help it." The chosen man says, "I refuse to bow again." That refusal transforms him from a slave to a soldier. And soldiers, through battles won, are trained to be kings. A life without temptation is a life without training, but a life that meets temptation head-on and says no again and again is a life being forged into unshakable power. Every denied urge is not wasted. It becomes fuel. It becomes fire in your eyes, weight in your words, authority in your presence. Here's what many do not understand. True authority is never won in public applause. It is won in private victories. People will only ever see the crown. They will not see the chains you broke in secret to wear it. They will see the clarity in your eyes, the power in your decisions, but they will never see the nights you wrestled with shadows, whispering prayers through clenched teeth, choosing destiny over desire. And yet heaven sees, hell sees. That is why angels record and demons rage when you resist. To rise from chains to authority is not just about personal freedom, it is about generational freedom. A man who conquers lust sets a new standard for his bloodline. His children inherit not the curse of chains, but the legacy of crowns. His community feels the ripple of his victory. Authority is never selfish. It always multiplies. Though when you feel the weight of chains pressing in, do not despair. Chains are not the end. They are the beginning. They are the evidence that authority is waiting on the other side. And when you rise, when you refuse to bow, when you tear off the chains of lust, you will walk not as a slave, not as a soldier, but as a king crowned by God himself. The hidden exchange of lust and purity. Nothing in the spiritual realm is free. Every choice is an exchange. Every yes you give to lust costs you something, just as every no you give to it rewards you with something greater. This is the hidden law few ever recognize, the law of exchange. When you surrender to lust, you are not just giving away a moment of weakness. You are handing over pieces of your focus, your confidence, your clarity, and your destiny. It is like trading pure gold for broken glass. Lust always promises more than it delivers, and it always takes more than you realize. The price is invisible, but it is real. Time is stolen, energy is drained, confidence is eroded, destiny is delayed. Every time you bow, you pay, and the payment is your future. Think about Samson again. His strength was not stolen by Delilah in a single moment. It was stolen gradually, through the whispers, the compromises, the little exchanges until he had nothing left. Lust is patient. It does not mind taking you apart one piece at a time, as long as it gets what it wants, your destiny. But here is the good news. Purity also operates by exchange. Every time you say no to lust, you receive something in return. Heaven never leaves obedience unrewarded. With every refusal, clarity returns to your mind, confidence strengthens your spirit, and divine favor surrounds you like armor. This is not motivational talk. It is a spiritual reality. Purity multiplies what lust steals. When you resist lust, you are not just keeping yourself clean. You are investing in a future of power. You are buying back focus, buying back time, buying back energy. The chosen ones who master purity always rise with an authority that cannot be denied. Others may have charisma, talent, or opportunity, But without purity they will always crumble under the weight of temptation. Purity is what separates the ordinary from the untouchable. And do not forget the exchange is witnessed. Angels watch every battle they record your victories in secret, preparing crowns you have not yet seen. Demons watch too, raging every time you resist, for they know each refusal makes you more dangerous to their kingdom. Your no is not silent, it echoes in eternity. Consider Jesus in the wilderness. 40 days of fasting, 40 days of resisting temptation, and then he walked out with power no demon could stop. The hidden exchange had taken place, resistance for authority, obedience for destiny. If the Son of God himself embraced that exchange, how much more must you and I? Remember this, lust always steals, but purity always multiplies. The enemy may try to make you believe that saying no is a loss, that you are missing out, but the truth is, every no is an investment, a deposit into your destiny. And when the time comes, the compound interest of purity will crown you with honor, that no man, no demon, no temptation can ever take away. The crown of destiny. In the end, every battle with lust is not really about the moment, it is about the crown. Destiny is not handed to you simply because you were born. It is given to those who prove themselves in the fires of discipline, in the hidden places where no applause exists. Think of it like this. The crown of destiny is not forged in gold, but in resistance. Every time you say no to lust, you are not just avoiding sin. You are carving the shape of a crown that will one day rest on your head. Every private victory becomes a jewel. Every denied temptation becomes a stone of authority. Every sleepless night you spend fighting off whispers becomes a seal of power in your future. History remembers the crowned, but heaven remembers the resisted. Men may write books about David's victories, but God recorded the day Joseph fled from Potiphar's wife as the true moment his destiny was sealed. That single act of resistance lifted him from the chains of slavery to the throne of Egypt. Not because he was talented, not because he was favored in the eyes of men, but because in one moment of fire he proved that his destiny was more valuable than his desire. That is the crown of destiny. And here is the terrifying truth. Demons know this better than most believers. They know that if they can rob you of purity, they can rob you of the crown. They are not after your moments. They are after your throne. They are not after your fantasies. They are after your future. This is why the attack is so relentless. This is why you feel the weight of temptation heavier than those around you. Hell knows what heaven has placed upon you, and hell is terrified of the day you rise to take it. But purity makes you untouchable. When lust loses its grip on your spirit, demons lose their power over your life. A man who has conquered himself cannot be conquered by anything outside him. His mind is clear, his heart is sharp, his soul is anchored. When he walks into a room, his presence speaks louder than his word. People may not know why they respect him, why they listen to him, why they feel peace around him, but it is because purity has crowned him with unseen authority. And here is what few realize. Your crown is not just for you. When you conquer lust, you break chains not only for yourself, but for generations. Your children inherit your victories or your failures. Your family walks in the light or the shadow of your decision. The curses of fathers often repeat through sons, but when you say no, when you resist, when you tear down the stronghold, you become the man who ends cycles. You become the one who shifts the bloodline. Your crown becomes their freedom. So understand this. Saying no to lust is not a small thing. It is the most decisive yes you will ever give to your God, to your destiny, to your legacy, to your eternity. It is the act that crowns you before heaven, that terrifies hell, that proves you are more than flesh, more than desire. You are chosen, you are called, you are crowned. Do not think of resistance as deprivation. Think of it as investment. Think of it as training. Think of it as forging. Because one day you will stand in a moment of destiny, maybe before nations, maybe before your family, maybe before one soul who needed to see God through you, and you will wear the crown that lust tried to steal. This is the final truth. Crowns are not given to the comfortable. They are given to the conquerors. And you, chosen one, are not called to live as a slave to shadows. You are called to rise as a king of light. The day you master lust is the day you claim your throne. And when that day comes, nothing on earth, nothing in hell, and no demon in darkness will be able to deny the crown of destiny placed upon your head. And if this message has stirred something deep within you, if you know this battle is yours to fight and yours to win, then don't stop here. I've poured everything I've learned into an ebook called 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust. Inside you'll find the timeless weapon Scripture has given us to break free once and for all. The link is waiting for you in the description and in the pinned comment. Don't delay, because every day you wait, the enemy steals. Step into your destiny, take your freedom, wear your crown.